picketing are the healthy ones. The healthy ones. The healthy ones. I told people that this is our team A, our best team. Those who came there, they are our best. People know they are lying on bed. They just bring them out to see light and go back. But people are happy that their grandmas, their great-grand people are alive and they see them. Any society who doesn't want to see old people in the society is not worth a society. We all want our children to come and meet their great-grandfathers and grandmothers. That's the essence of life in this world. So you don't have to do things that will curtail the lives of the elderly. And they are living on this. They have struggled to save their money for their life. They don't want to be a burden on society. The society cannot care for them. So they have planned their life. Why do you want to disturb their life? If you are building roads, stop the roads and let these people live. If you are doing something that you can cut the expenditure down, the roads can wait. Everything that you are doing can wait. But the life of people cannot wait. They need their medication to survive.
Right.
So government do something.
All right, Doc, just hold on for me.
And free some money to pay these elderly ones.
All right, hold on for me. Let me move to Manasseh to really look at some of the issues you've raised. Manasseh, you've heard from Dr. Edwin Chianani on this particular issue, mainly concerning the pensioners' bondholders. Yeah.
Exactly. A very good morning to Doc. And government is very much concerned about the issues raised by the pensioner bondholders. We know they are senior citizens. And government is very much aware that most of them do depend on the coupons from these bonds to meet their medical demands. And so government is committed to ensuring we are able to raise more revenues to pay their monies as soon as possible. On the 14th of April, last week Friday, the government engaged the leadership of the individual bondholders forum and the pensioner bondholders forum as well. And we've made some headway with that meeting. And it was agreed that the technical committee that met somewhere in January 2023 reconvenes so that they'll be able to agree on a pathway to ensure we are able to meet the payments of these matured bonds by the 28th of April. And so government is calling for calm. We understand their concerns, and government also isn't happy. All of us, we have our grandfathers, our fathers, our mothers in this group, and we really appreciate the kind of work they've done to ensure we're able to uplift the country. And so the government is pleading with them that they should exercise patience. We have met with their leaders, and we have up to 28th of this month.
Which is the deadline?
Which is the deadline. We have about 9 days from today. And government is working so hard to ensure we have their monies ready before the date is due. And so, Doc and our senior citizens, my own fathers and grandfathers, we plead with you that you should exercise some restraints.
Is that restraint that they do not have? Is that time that they do not also have because of the quote unquote vulnerable brackets they find themselves in, and that's the major worry for them.
And of course, Doc himself confirmed that certain payments have been made.
Yes.
Bonds that matured on the 6th
February 13th.
Yes, and even on the 20th as well.
20th was just
yes, and so government has, so that tells you government will honor his words. We've paid some already, some too are outstanding, and we are ensuring we pay. And so we are very much concerned about their health. We do not find it pleasing at all when they picket. And so it is our hope, and with our collective efforts, we are working to ensure even before the 28th, we'll be able to raise money to pay their matured coupons. And so, Doc and our senior citizens, we continue to plead with you that have confidence in the government and we pay your money before 28th.
You pay the money before 28th?
Exactly. We have a memorandum of understanding with them.
Yes.
And so, hopefully, before then, we'll be able to pay.
Hopefully. All right. Let me move to Dr. Edwin Chianani. Doc.
Yes.
Yes, you've heard from the government spokesperson on the economy saying that government is working around the clock to pay you by the 28th, hopefully.
I can accept that government should work around the clock to pay. This is life and death matters. This is life and death. I myself, I have my wife in a similar situation. That if you don't get the drugs for her, it's a problem. Many people, he is even only 64. Others are more than that age. They have many complications in life, health. Few of us are able to walk around every now and then. There are many of them that can't do anything. They are solely relying on drugs. These prices are up, 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 up. And the little savings you have made, which you believe should help you to cater for yourself, is not coming. It is bad. People, if we are doing statistics, I believe people are losing their lives now, but you can't get them.
Yeah.
You can't get the number of people because they are not getting their drugs. So government should try. This is life and death matter. Try. If there are some expenses you can stop now, delay, and free some money to pay even only these pensioners. So they are life can be. Someone I come and meet our great-grand. I came to meet my grandmother's mother. My grandmother's mother.
Wow.
And I want my children to come and meet their grandma, my great-grand. That is life. For it to say that, yes, I came to meet it's not for anything. Just to live long, get your great-grandchildren, come and put on your laps and tag them and bless them. Oh, even if you are 100, you can't see anything, you can't even hear anything. It is still a blessing that all of us want to attain, for our great-grandchildren to come and meet us. So please, come to do all that you can do to save, free some money, and pay these pensioners. And I'm believing that by 28, these matters will be cleared.
I mean, two quick questions that we can let you off. With all this conversation we've been having and the deadline you've given it after the 28th, have you heard anything from the finance ministry or even the finance minister himself talk about the government?
That's what I said. We have had 2 meetings. The earlier one was on the Friday, and they were still trying to establish, reconvene this technical committee, as the gentleman said, which we said have anything to that technical committee.
Exactly.
It is the due amounts that we are expecting. Monday, again, they call a meeting. And on Monday, we issue a press release that on the Friday, we never agree on any technical committee.
Yes.
And that was why we issued that press release. But on Monday, they call again. And then the other people, as I said, those who self-exempted themselves, those who are not pensioners and who decided not to join, they have agreed to work with them and find arrangements where they can get, especially their principal. They are proposing that perhaps when their principal is due and government cannot pay, government can issue them with treasury bills to replace the maturity principle that they should have. That is for the self-exempted people. For us that the government exempted is, we are not going anywhere. We have been exempted and our old position continues. Our exemption was unconditional. It doesn't depend on anything. It's just exemption that you go and sleep. Anytime you wake up and your money is due, go to the bank and you find it. That is the issue of exemption implication. So we are begging government to try. We have we need the money to do all these things. Government cannot allow us. If government thinks that it cannot pay, government should issue a statement that all pensioners should go to a specific hospital to take their drugs for free, whilst we are waiting for our money. Can the government do that? Just go here. I will go and dump all the medication that pensioners need there. So if your drug is finished, go and take it. Then you can exercise patience for me to get your money back. You don't have that system. Yeah. People must buy their drugs and live. So please, whatever the government must do, I have suggested that if they have to borrow from the treasury bills market, go ahead, borrow and save life. Borrow and save life. You have said you cannot bring back life, but you can bring back the economy when it is broken. Go to the triple, borrow and pay the pensioners, save their lives, and we can bring back the economy.
Doc, it's the same economy that is facing challenges, and as we speak, the country is
yes,
IMF.
Yes, but you need people should be there before the economy.
Look, let's leave it
You
here.
don't expect all people to die.
No, nobody actually expects that. Actually.
Unless we want a system where there will be no elderly people in this country. And that is not what nobody is talking about. We need them.
Okay.
Yes, we need penny a day. That's what the account says. If you don't have elderly people in your house, it's a guess.
Yeah.
We need penny a day. So let's protect our elders, the elderly. Let's find money for them. We can find the money. I've said if government is borrowing from the treasury bill market, which is not close, government can always buy a little in excess of what is going to use to retire the treasury bills. And use it you can single out the pensioners and pay them with the little resources that you have.
All right. Look, let's leave it here and I will what happens on the 28th. Hopefully even before the 28th.
We are hoping that something will happen because it was not a good thing for us to go and picket at the ministry.
Exactly.
Since at all, the bad image that was created for this country, we all didn't like it. And we were forced to do that. And we don't want to be forced again to do that. We have informed the parliament.
Okay. All right.
I believe when they come back, if they come back before 28, they will say something about it and avoid this situation.
All right, Doc, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much. But quickly before you go, how are your members doing?
They are suffering in pains. As I told you, some people are not taking their drugs the way they should take it. That's my worry. And as I say, I'm living with such a situation. And even sometimes midnight, when we realize that the medicine is finished, I have to rush to a pharmacy shop 24 hours a day and go and buy the drug. That is how it is. If you haven't gotten to that age, you don't know what is happening. If you get there, you will see. By the time people who are not understanding get there, we will be dead. So they won't come for us to tell us, hey, Mokayo. But that is it.
We'll leave it here. Thank you very much. And the prayer is that by 28, something will be done and some payment will be effected. So that's Dr. Edu Enchianani, who is the convener for the Pensioners Bondholders Forum, who joined us on the line, virtually via Zoom, calling on government to pay them their monies in terms of the coupon rate and, of course, the principal too. They've given government up to the 28th of April. If nothing actually happens, they will go and picket at the office of the Finance Ministry, just as they did a couple of weeks ago, which was quite not the best scene for all of us. So, Manasi, as you said, before 28th?
Exactly.
You're confident about that?
I'm very confident.
Okay. And what about the others, the individual bondholders? There was also another, the individual bondholders. What about them too, before we come to that of the pension funds too?
You know, government has maintained that the DDEP was voluntary. And so for those who decided to self-exempt themselves, whether you exempted yourself by your own self or whether it was government that exempted you, in the case of the pensioner bondholders, when your bonds do mature, you'll be paid your coupon. We understand there's been some delay.
Yes.
And it has to do with our liquidity constraints. But the government certainly will honor those coupons as soon as possible. Yeah.
The Finance Ministry earlier said that, or the Finance Minister actually in Washington during the program, the spring board meeting that was going on, that there's not going to be any second phase of the whole debt restructuring program. But then also came a letter written to the trustees who are handling the pension funds. There's an interesting letter, but I was just trying as much as possible to understand it too. There's not going to be a second phase of debt restructuring program, but the issues also raised in the letter say something different.
All right, so what was trending in the news was that there was going to be a second DDEP for pension funds. And that statement is inaccurate.
Okay.
Because when you look at the first DDEP that was launched on the 5th of December, government had a memorandum of understanding with the organized labor, and it was established that pensioner bondholders or pension fund will be exempted from the DDEP, and it continues till today as we speak.
Okay.
And so to make allusions to some statements that there will be a second DDEP targeting pension funds are simply untrue.
What about the letter?
What government is doing is to place a request. It's only a request for participation. All right, so government has proposed an alternative offer for pensioner bondholders. It is a request. You know, on the 22nd of December 2022, government signed an MOU with the pensioner bondholders, and it was agreed that the GOG and the pensioner bondholders will work hand in hand so that they'll be able to support government under their sustainability agreements to ensure we are able to restore the economy back on track. And so it is with reference to the MOU that was signed that the Ministry of Finance wrote the letter of request to provide an alternative offer to our pensioner bondholders. And you see, the reality of the issue is that when you look at the old bonds today, they are not tradable. And when you critically read the new offer that has been proposed, you realize that there are a lot of goodies in the new offer. So, for example, the old bonds had a coupon of 18.5%, but the new one that is being offered is giving a coupon or an interest of 21%. And so when you read the fine details of the proposed alternative offer for pension fund, you realize that those who would offer to sign on to this proposed offer will be better off rather than holding on to, their old bonds when it becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible, to even trade it. In the case of emergency and you want to trade old bonds, no one will buy it because there is no market for it. But if you decide to sign on to government's new bond or the proposed offer, one you are getting... say again?
This proposed offer already.
Exactly.
Okay.
The terms and conditions in the proposed offer is far better than the initial DDEP terms and offer. Because you'll be getting 21%.
21%.
And so yes.
And the 18% earlier. Yeah.
Exactly. And so government believes we have sat down critically to draft this new offer for pensioner bondholders, given the critical nature of their issue.
Earlier, the pension funds were actually exempted.
Exactly.
Totally.
They are. Still they are.
No, but with a new offer given in there, it doesn't look like they are.
So this is a request. Government has tabled an alternative proposal for them. And it is a request for them to go through and try and see if they'll be able to sign on to the program.
Okay.
So it is not as if the first DDEP that was launched on the 5th of December affected the pensioners. They've been exempted. But because there was an MOU to the effect that they would work hand in hand with governments, so that under the levels of their sustainability analysis, we'll be able to reach some headway to restore the economy. It's important for governments to provide an alternative offer. And of course, there's been complaints to government. Most of the people holding the old bonds are complaining. Now, in any emergency, when they want to sell the bonds, people are not buying. And so this is even to the benefit of some of the people who did not offer to tender in their old bonds. And it is not surprising that the convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum, Senor Jose, has explained that when you go through government's proposed alternative offer for pension funds, it is technically sound.
Yes.
There are no two ways about it. Because when you read the offer and the benefits therein, it is best, and we believe if the fund managers are to agree to sign on to it, it will be in the interest of the fund people.
But Labour is also saying that they are actually standing to the earlier agreements had, that it is supposed to be exempted. So whether it is technically good or not, for them, they want it to be exempted. So
so our wish as government is that the labor organizations would hold some conversations with the fund managers and their technocrats in there, so that they will explain the details of the proposed alternative offer for the pension fund, because what is in there would benefit them a lot more than them holding on to their old bonds. Yes, and so we believe if they engage their fund managers, they may come up with a different view to, rather than just saying, let's not accept it.
Okay, all right. Manasi Atabuaine is government spokesperson on the economy. Let's move straight to our second subject, which has got to do with the next Chief Justice. We're told that the current Chief Justice, that's Justice Enibwa, will be retiring very, very soon, and next month, actually, on the 24th of May. And there's a new one. So far, what's been speculated is that Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokono, who has been penciled to be the next Chief Justice of this country. We're going to start off this conversation with Abraham Amaliba, who is the Director of Legal Directorates for the NDC. He's joined us via Zoom. Mr. Amaliba, good morning to you. Good morning, Mr. Amaliba. All right, still working on his connection. Justice Tokonu will be His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's third appointment of a Chief Justice since he became president. So in 2017, Justice Sophia Kufu was appointed as the Chief Justice. In 2019, you had Justice Ninyewa, who's the current Chief Justice, and who will be retiring anytime soon in May, we told on May 24. And then for now, who the person has been penciled is Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Tokonu, and she is penciled to be the next Chief Justice. Although there have been other names also in the front runners. We have Justice Yoni Kolendi, there's also Justice Isifu Moro Tanko, who these are some of the names in there. But for now, if you pick yesterday's Daily Graphic and other conversations also going on, it looks like the Jubilee House there settled on Justice Tokonu, obviously, with approval coming from Parliament. Manasi, I'm sure you've also picked some of these things.
Yes, so as we all know, the current Chief Justice will be going on retirement on the 24th of May. And so the Constitution rightly mandates the President under Article 1441 to appoint a new Chief Justice, acting in consultation with the Council of State and with approval of Parliament. And so there are some names coming up, as you rightly mentioned, but we believe as government that the President would appoint someone who would work in the best interest of the country. And so it's about time we have more conversations to ensure how the person to go through the track records of these people to know how best they'll be able to serve the nation. Now, we are very confident in whoever the president will appoint. And we know very soon the appointment will be out. And we believe that there is an advanced stage as to the extent of conversation the president is having with the Council of State. And as we are picking feed, that they've almost agreed on one person. And so very soon the president will announce it, and the person will go through Parliament for vetting and approval as well.
All right, and I mean, before I come back to you, the list of Chief Justice under the Fourth Republic so far, we have Justice Philip Edward Acha, who from 1991 to 1995, and then there's also Justice Isaac Kwabena Alban from 1995 to 2001, and then there's Justice Edward Kwame Redu from 2001 to 2003, and then there is Justice George Kingsley Akwa from 2003 to 2008, and then Justice Georgina Theodora Wood from 2007 to 2017, and then Justice Sophia Kufu from 2017 to 2019, and the current Chief Justice, that's Justice Kwesi Eniyobwa from 2019. And so the current Chief Justice that we have will be retiring soon in May, and also on May 24. So I have Abraham Amaliba, who is the Director of Legal Directives of the NDC. So Amaliba, good morning to you.
Good morning to you and to your viewers.
And I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm well. I'm fine.
All right. That's expectation of a new Chief Justice. Obviously, that's a particular name that has been actually running around as with the one pencil down for this position. I mean, from your end, what should we look out for in this new Chief Justice that is yet to be announced, actually?
What should be what?
What should actually one we look out for in this new Chief Justice that will be is yet to be announced?
What will I be looking out for?
Not you. I mean, in the whole conversation we are having.
Yes. Well, I don't know what to say because this is rumors. We don't quite know yet. The only thing which is striking about this particular one is that unlike the previous ones, where you have 2 or 3 names coming up before it is finally announced, as in the case of Justice Enini Yabua and Justice Toche, for instance. This one, it appears it's a sole name, a single name. And does that mean that the appointing authorities are conclusive and it is the only person that they have confidence in that can do the work? Apart from that, I think we can only wait. If the name is announced, then we'll begin to critique the appointment. But for now, it will be difficult for me to begin analyzing the appointment when it is not yet announced. So that is my opening remarks.
Right. You talked about this. I mean, it looks like what is striking to you looks like there's a sole name that it's people are talking about. But I've also heard names like Justice Yoni Kolendi. I've also heard that of Justice Bafuboni. I've also heard Justice Isufu Umoro Tankutu. That these ones have also are part of the 4 runners.
If you look at the reportage, if you look at these are grapevine. What we are talking about is what people are saying amongst themselves. But it appears the media has zeroed in on somebody. And that is where I am coming from and making that comment. But yes, I've also heard particularly Yoni Kolende. My understanding is that the appointing authorities want to look for somebody or want to appoint somebody who has more years. Don't forget that this government is at the tail end and they are not sure, considering our governance system and our pattern of voting, where at most you will give a government 8 years. So the appointing authorities seem to be looking out for somebody whom they think when they put in there would outlive any next government, so that probably they can come back and meet that person. So I've heard, and I think that Yoni Kolende falls in that category, and then the Ketru Tokonu falls in that category. So that is what I can say now.
All right. I mean, with your experience, and of course as a lawyer too, when it comes to such appointments, should seniority matter, as in who is senior to who?
Once you get to the Supreme Court, we are more than qualified to be the Chief Justice. Indeed, in our history, a district court judge or magistrate has once ascended to the throne of a Chief Justice. So, because it is political, the appointing authority would want to pick and choose amongst the judges who would better suit their ideology. Don't forget that the Supreme Court is also a law chamber. Their rulings are more or less like Parliament passing law. So the appointing authorities would look at those at the Supreme Court and begin to do the permutations. Okay, which of them will best fit our ideology? Which of them would protect our ideology? And all those
okay.
So all those constitutions takes place.
Mr. Maliba.
The best thing to have done
Hello, Mr. Maliba.
is to open it up for people to apply, and then you have, yes. Yeah. Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, we had challenges with your line there, so we lost that bit of the ideology conversation we were putting across.
Yeah, so is it clear now?
Yes, it's better. Yes, it is.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is better.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh. So the point I was making is this, that the appointing authorities will naturally gravitate towards one of the judges who they think will better protect their ideology. But for me, the right thing to do would have been to open it up for applications to be received. People who want the job and they apply to want to be the Chief Justice. The Public Service Commission takes those applications and then scrutinize them, vet them before they appear before Parliament. But the current arrangement under the Constitution makes the President the appointing authority.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of seniority is made nonsense of. So you can be senior bypass you because the President may think that you don't fit his ideology. So I think that if we have a much better way of appointing our Chief Justice, I would rather go in for that than this current system.
So that means that you're calling for that constitutional change in there?
That is so, where people will apply, judges will apply, they are vetted, they are interviewed, and their names submitted to the Parliament for Parliament to do its work. Right. That way, you have the President's hands taken off, and we will have a Chief Justice who is Chief Justice for all. But the way it is now, definitely, no President will go for a Chief Justice or somebody to become a Chief Justice when he knows that that person does not fall within his political ideology.
I'm even wondering how political parties will agree to this, because it falls to the advantage of any political party at all in power. So I'm wondering how political parties will agree to such a change in the Constitution.
It's possible that we may have a president who is looking at the bigger picture one day, and that president will be amenable. Today we have somebody advocating that we should scrap ex gratia when indeed he's a beneficiary. Who knows, one day we'll have a president who will think that, look, let's have a Chief Justice who, in some jurisdictions in South Africa, they vote for the Chief Justice. You vote for the chief who's become a Chief Justice. So it's done in some jurisdictions, and it's possible it can be done here.
All right. So, I mean, my final question to you, you talked about ideology, but shouldn't we also be looking at someone who can actually, I would say, enhance the image of the judiciary? If you pick the U.S. Department's report on human rights abuse in Ghana, that has stated that the judiciary in Ghana is subject to unlawful influence and corruption and other things concerning the judiciary, which is not in the best interest, which affects the image of the judiciary. Shouldn't we be actually looking at someone who can actually work to enhance this kind of image and make it better rather than ideologies?
Yes, so the ideal situation will be what you are talking about. Okay. The ideal situation will be a president, because he's the appointing authority, that president will look beyond his political party and look towards the nation and say that, let me go in for somebody who can improve upon the image, particularly now that the image has sunk so low. But to be honest with you, we don't have that president yet who would think that way. So for me, if you don't have if you cannot rely on the benevolence of the president to look out for somebody who would come and bring in transformation, if you can't rely on such benevolence, then you should as well be looking for changing the law to tie the president's hand so that he cannot do the things that they are doing now by maybe looking out for people who are within their political persuasion. So I agree with you entirely that what we should be looking out for is not who is within my political ideology or somebody who is of my political persuasion, but should be looking out for who can bring about the necessary changes, and we can claw back the confidence in our justice delivery system. I agree with you.
All right. So just hold on for me. Let me move to Manasseh here in the studio to pick some response from him. I mean, you've heard from Abraham Aliba on what to look out for and all that. I mean, he talked about that sole person. It looks like a sole person. A single name has been running around for some time, like the corridors of power. He believes it should be open. And also the whole conversation of ideology. I
mean, so as he himself said, it's only rumors. And so it's the media that has narrowed the conversation to one person.
Well,
there are no confirmations.
In some reporters, it's very emphatic that the Council of State has actually.
Of course, but until we get an official communique from the Council of State or the President, it continues to remain a rumor. And so the media can always decide to focus on one person they think could be the one. It could even be that by the time the President will announce, it may not be the person. Anyway, yes, and so this is only the media. It is not the doing of government for the conversations to be centered around one person. Then, of course, I agree with you on the transformational bit. That is important for the president to nominate someone who has the ability to be able to enhance the image of the judiciary. And that is exactly what the president will do. When it comes to looking beyond your political party and making appointments, our president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has done that.
Really?
When we came into office, you remember the first special prosecutor. He looked beyond his political party. We had a lot of topmost lawyers, better ones who could do the job, but he decided to go in for Martin Amidu. Exactly. And so when it comes to,
we all know what happened afterwards. So
I mean, when it comes to looking beyond or giving us the best appointments, our president has demonstrated that. He has done it before, and he's going to do that again. And so we should continue to repose more confidence in the president that whoever he appoints will be the best for the nation at this time, so that we'll be able to enhance the image of the judiciary and to bring a higher level of transformation, so that we'll be able to have a level-headed image of the judiciary.
But that's a special prosecutor. But this time
I'm relating it exactly to the Chief Justice. That as he has been able to do same for the special prosecutor, he is going to do same for the Chief Justice. And so Ghanaians have a lot of confidence in whoever he will appoint. And it wouldn't be based on seniority or because the person is aligned to the ideologies of the MPP. That's not the case. The president is concerned about the image of the judiciary. He himself has been, he was a lawyer. And so he understands the nitty-gritties of appointments in this regard. And so he confidently would choose someone who would serve the country best. But it wouldn't be just because the person is an MPP member or the person is aligned towards the ruling government. That's why the person will get the appointment.
You don't think that ideology?
I don't think so. The president will
issues about Chief Justice, issues about who gets appointment at Supreme Court is a very politically sensitive issue, I would say.
Indeed,
yes.
It is.
Parties play a critical role in there.
Parties do play, but what I'm saying is that, yes, parties play a critical role, but whoever the president will appoint will not be because this person is in our party. So even if the person is not top-notch, even if the person cannot do the job, the president will force the job on the person. No, the president will review the various justices who equally qualify for the position of the Chief Justice, and he would appoint the one who best fits the interest of the nation. And so we are confident in whatever appointment the president will make, that it wouldn't be along party lines, but it would be at the interest of the nation first.
All right. He talked about opening up such appointments. I mean, where people can apply. We have the Civil Service Commission also coming in to vet before it even gets to Parliament.
I mean, that's a fair conversation, but the truth is that the Constitution today doesn't allow that.
Yes.
So the Constitution has entrusted all the power in the President to appoint in consultation with the Council of State, and then the person will be vetted and approved by Parliament. And so until we as a people in the country have broader conversations to agree that from henceforth this is how we want things to be done, it continues to remain like this. And just as you said, it's going to be difficult for a party in government to accept these things. And so I believe his opinions are fair.
Oh. They
are fair, and it's not out of place for there to be a structure. But until we amend the Constitution, this is how it remains.
All right. So, Amaliba, if you're still there with us, I'm looking at what kind of reforms you will expect a new Chief Justice, irrespective of whoever the person is, you expect that new Chief Justice will bring on board?
It is not enough to just say the president is a lawyer, so he will do the right thing. It's not enough. We didn't expect that under a human rights lawyer, human rights records would be this way as we see it. Our human rights record is in tatters now, so it's not enough. I don't think that is enough. Reforms. If you are talking about reforms, currently the Afrobarometer report, the CDD report have both given the judiciary low marks. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So there are a plethora of even the judiciary low marks. So the next Chief Justice should be interested in bringing confidence in the judiciary. So that should be the first headache of that Chief Justice. The second one has to do with instances where you have specialized courts, or you have, so now we have the commercial courts, we have the labor courts. There are judges in these courts. So you take a criminal matter, instead of it to go to the criminal courts, you send it to the commercial courts. When you do that, the impression is created that you are shopping for a particular judge. I don't know whether you are, it may not be, but the questions that are being asked is, but it's a criminal matter.
Yeah.
Why is it going to commercial court 5? The impression is created that, there's a particular judge that maybe the authorities are shopping for and have gone to place the case there. So the next Chief Justice should ensure that cases that belong to particular divisions must remain there. And there are judges who can handle those cases. So that this impression is not created as if government is out there shopping for particular judges so that they can do their bidding. I think that is also another area. Third one is housing of the courts. Some courts are dilapidated. Some courts you go in there and the kind of heat that emanates from those courts is unbearable. Infrastructure, court infrastructure, for me is another area that the next judge should look at. And then we should also improve upon our ADR system. It's already in place, but I think that we can do better with the ADR system.
What about legal education? Opening up that aspect.
Yes. I thought when you said legal education, I thought the judges or the lawyers going for refresher courses. Legal education is one area that has bedeviled this nation. And I think that there are attempts to expand legal education, but I think we can do more. My proposition, which my political party also is aligned to, is that we should develop the faculties so that they can have their own law schools.
Yeah.
Just like how most kindergartens have their primary schools. So the kindergartens become the feeder for the primary schools. So every law faculty, if it's possible, let's develop that law faculty to be able to provide professional legal education, and then that faculty will be feeding the law school. If we do that, we'll have a number of campuses, and there will not be issues of limitation to the faculties and to legal education.
Okay.
So I think that that's another area that they must look at, the next Chief Justice.
All right, Samuel, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for your time, and we wish you all the best as we await the final announcements that will be coming from the President then to Parliament for the vetting to take place. Thank you very much, Samuel.
Thank you.
Let's quickly wrap up on that. I talked about reforms, some reforms expected, then we can wrap up on this particular note. Yes.
Yes, so reforms are really critical, and we know how far our judicial system has come. It is refreshing to note that this government has invested a lot in our judicial system. When you look at the housing units the government has built for our judges in Kumasi, it is quite amazing. You look at the estate and the building, and it's as if those buildings are in the United States of America. And so government is doing a lot more to ensure we don't leave our courts dilapidated. Indeed, it's true. As Lawyer Maliba mentioned, some courts are quite terrible. And it is sad. Sometimes the judge himself fears for his own life, sitting in such buildings to determine issues and matters. And so government is ensuring we are able to commit a lot more resources to ensure the security of our courts and the security of our judges as well.
All right, we'll have to leave it here. Maybe your final thoughts on both subjects so we can wrap it up here.
Exactly. So my final thoughts are that concerning the bondholders,
yes,
government is committed to ensuring that once we had an MOU with them and we were clear in our minds that the DDEP was voluntary, whatever coupons that have matured will be paid. We believe there are a little bit of liquidity constraints in the system, and so there has been some delays. But government has been able to honor some of them. And so with what is left, given the deadline of 28th, government is doing a lot more to raise more revenue so that we are able to pay the matured coupons. And so we continue to plead with our pensioner bondholders and the individual bondholders, those who didn't sign on to the DDEP, that they should have confidence in government, and very soon government will honor all their matured bonds.
Okay, all right. So you heard from Manasseh Atta Boahene, who is government spokesperson on the economy. Earlier, you heard from Dr. Edwin Triana, the convener for the Pensioners Bondholders Forum, and also heard from Lawyer Brian Mamaliba, with the Director of Legal Directorates for the NDC. We arranged to speak to others too. Unfortunately, technology has not been that friendly to us this morning. On this note, we wrap up today's edition of Focus. Thanks a lot for your time. This program will be repeated this evening at 11 after a major news bulletin at 10 on GTV. So make a date to watch it again, or tell others to also catch it in case they missed it. There will be a live, a launch of the State of the Ghana Media Report at the Center for Biodiversity and Conservation at University of Ghana, Legon.